The summer transfer window for the 2024-2025 season of the Women's Super League closed almost 2 weeks ago. As we begin the new season, here's a look at each club's transfers. This isn't necessarily a comprehensive list, but it is the bulk of the players coming in and some big names that have left. So, to keep this from being an hour-long video, we won't cover each player, but all the incoming players that I could find will be displayed. So feel free to pause or slow down the speed for your club. First up is Arsenal. With the departure of Miedema, the Gunners needed a tried-and-true striker if they wanted to compete for the title this season, and they most assuredly are. Caldente has proven herself at Barcelona and is a quality signing for the Gunners. While not a like-for-like replacement for Miedema, she should be very effective on the left wing for Arsenal. Outside of her, the Gunners didn't bring in many more players, only bringing in another forward and a goalkeeper. If the Gunners truly want to compete for the title, this may not be enough for them. The Villains finished last season solidly mid-table at 7th. This is surprising as the first half of the season didn't go well for them. The latter half of the season saw an injury crisis in keepers for Aston Villa. During this transfer window, interestingly, Aston Villa and Arsenal have done a goalkeeper swap, with the Villains' Dom Soler departing for Arsenal and the Gunners' D'Angelo making her way to the Midlands. Outside of the keeper swap, the Villains have looked to strengthen their midfield, bringing in 4 promising young players in Robinson, Kearns, Bangs, and Taylor. Fan favorite Alicia Lehmann has departed for the Italian side Juventus. Brighton have done a lot of business this window, even managing to squeak a couple of last-minute transfers in on deadline day with Nikita Paris and Michelle Agneman. The Seagulls have brought in experienced veterans like midfielder Frank Kirby from Chelsea and youngsters like Hannah Poulter. This should give Brighton enough depth to cover for injuries and provide competition for starting positions. The Seagulls finished last season at 9th and will hope to improve upon last season's results. They conceded 48 goals, only second to relegated Bristol City, so shoring up their defense and central part of the pitch looks to have been a priority. Well, Chelsea did Chelsea things, bringing in young players to immediately loan them back out to their prior club, as seen with Ribiadera and Berman. As current champions, Chelsea are a prime destination for many players. But surprisingly, even with the new manager, Chelsea didn't go as wild with incoming players as I had anticipated. They seem to prefer poaching from Barcelona and PSG this window. English fans are likely thrilled to see Lucy Bronze back on English soil and in the WSL. The American League received a gem in Jess Carter, who departed Chelsea to go play for current NWSL champions Gotham. Crystal Palace is the newly promoted side this season, replacing Bristol City. It will be challenging for Palace to stay up, as Bristol City immediately dropped back down to the championship and was only able to maintain the single season at the top. But in typical newly promoted sides, there has been a large squad refresh. This is common and unfortunate for the players who got the club promoted not to see it through at the top level. They've brought in a good mix of positions and experience, with the average age of their transfers at 24.3 years old. They've brought in 2 young forwards who may find it difficult to score against more formidable opponents, but it looks like Palace has placed themselves to defend a lot, which is likely to happen often as they are the newcomers to the league. Everton was able to finish the past season in 8th. The Toffees have struggled to score the past 2 seasons, only bagging 24 goals last season. The only clubs who scored less were Bristol City and West Ham, who both scored 20 goals and finished 11th and 12th respectively. The Toffees have proceeded to play a possession-style football with nothing much to show for it. The business this window appears to show the Toffees are more serious about putting the ball in the net, bringing in 3 forwards, 2 of whom are quite experienced. Their other 2 signings are 2 attack-minded midfielders, hopefully signaling a bit more forward play this season. Leicester City's goal last season was to do better than the season prior. While they did technically achieve that, they finished 10th, one spot higher than the season prior. The team probably looked to challenge for a higher finish and probably should have ended higher. The season ended on a bit of a sour note for the Foxes, with a scandal involving their manager at the time, Willie Kirk. With that behind them, the Foxes have continued to recruit as they have in the past, again bringing in a very young group. The Foxes typically have one of the youngest squads in the league, if not the youngest. This transfer window saw them bring in 6 youngsters, with the average age of 22, with the youngest at 19 and the oldest at 26. You wouldn't know it from their results last season, but the Reds have only been in the WSL for 2 seasons. Liverpool sincerely challenged for a Champions League spot and will surely do the same this season. Matt Beard and company didn't change up too much in the squad, only bringing in 3 players, one forward, one midfielder, and one defender. Liverpool fans would do well to watch out for young Canadian midfielder Olivia Smith. She appears to be a good prospect for the Reds. Unfortunately, one of my favorite players to watch, Shanice Van de Sanden, has departed the English League and now plays in Mexico. The biggest transfer of this window is by far Miedema. One of the top strikers in the world landing at Man City is a big deal and will likely give City the edge they need to push past Chelsea for a title win. Barring a major injury, this should be a really exciting season to watch Miedema and City. City did a lot of business this window, particularly bringing in a plethora of Japanese internationals. The 3 Japanese signings should integrate nicely with Hasegawa, who has had a nice career at the Citizens so far. The keeper position will have plenty of competition this season as well. Yamashita was the number 1 in their Champions League match and the opening match for the WSL. Will she keep the starting spot over Keating for the remainder of the season? United have done themselves no favors this summer. Moving the women's squad out of their training facility so the men's team can use it while their facility is being renovated did not sit well with players or fans alike. This could be a glimpse into how the organization handles the women's squad on a day-to-day basis. And this is likely one of the reasons Mary Earps was so keen to move on from the club. This also may have lowered the appeal of United in the transfer market for top talent. United brought in a few players, many of whom are young, so this is a good opportunity for them, I hope. It will be interesting to see how the season starts, given the turmoil around the treatment of the women's team. Tottenham were able to turn themselves around last season after the 2022-23 season didn't go very well. In what looks to be a positive transfer window, the Spurs look to be competitive this season. The signings by the Spurs shows the organization's commitment to compete with the best rather than just avoid relegation each season. The Spurs have brought in 2 Aussies, with Haley Rasso likely to make a big impact from the get-go for the squad. She makes her way back to the WSL after spending the 2023-24 season at Real Madrid. How successful do you feel Tottenham's season will be given the players brought in this summer? Last season was not good for the Hammers. They ended in 11th with 15 points and only had 3 wins. West Ham have brought in a fair number of young players in the transfer window. They are loaning out a few of those to European clubs for development, though. The question for the Hammers will be, did they bring in enough talent to replace what they lost? Several of the outgoing players were regular starters. Losing Mackenzie Arnold in goal was likely one of the larger losses for West Ham. Hammers fans seem dissatisfied with the window and fear another relegation battle. It does make one wonder what is going on behind the scenes at the club. Perhaps a big refresh isn't a sign of dire straits, but a much-needed turnover to motivate the players. In a bright spot of positive news, Gorey has recovered from her injury last season and will be captaining the side. Here was our quick roundup of the summer transfer window. It seems more likely than ever that we might see a new champion ending Chelsea's reign. How do you feel about your club's transfer business? Any players that flew under the radar and are secretly a really good signing? Let us know down in the comments. If you like this type of content, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye!